All right, so first let's get into they clone Tyrone. They could have kept this. They could have kept this. Um, I don't know. It was so silly, y'all. It was so silly. Oh, okay, let's get to it. Jamie Foxx plays Slick Charlie. John Boyega plays Fontaine. Tiona Parrish plays Yo Yo. You got the gay guy from P Valley, the rapper. He plays Isaac. Kiefer Sutherland plays Nixon. So let's get into it. Opening scene in front of a liquor store. Some random people are debating seeing a Tupac look-alike. A little boy named Junebug and Fontaine riding in the car. Fontaine sees a rival drug dealer, runs him over, breaks his leg. The drug dealer calls Isaac. And then in front of the liquor store, as Fontaine gets his 40 ounce, the old man asks, "What's with the water, young blood?" So the old man, this is a Groundhog Day movie, kind of, sort of. Like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, kind of, sort of. So then Big Moss comes over to Fontaine's, drop money off. Also, every day, Fontaine knocks on his mother's door. "Mama, you hungry? I got you something to eat." "Nah, baby, I'm watching my stories." First two clues is it's a Groundhog Day effect. Is when the old man says something to Fontaine outside the liquor store, he pours him some liquor, and then every time he goes to his mom's door, "Mama, you need anything?" "Nah, I had some food to fish fry. I'm okay." She never opens the door. He just knocks and like, "Mom, you need anything?" "No, I'm good. I'm okay." Okay, okay. I was up till 2 in the morning watching this BS, but let's continue. This is what y'all want. All right, I'm gonna give it to you. Big Moss drops the money off to Fontaine. It's light. Slick Charles owes Fontaine money. Fontaine goes looking for him. Isaac follows Fontaine. Once again, Isaac is the boss of the drug dealer that Fontaine ran over and broke his leg. So then Yo Yo is talking to Slick Charlie about blockchain. Slick Charlie then tells Fontaine the dope he sold him was no good. Fontaine takes his money anyway. Isaac then catches up to Fontaine, blocks him in. There's a shootout. He gets shot and killed. The next morning, oh shit, my bad. I pushed the wrong button. The next morning, Fontaine wakes up. Another Groundhog Day effect. Wakes up the next morning and begins a Groundhog Day. He watches somebody get abducted into a black Suburban down the street. The old man then says he's off to see the wizard again. It's the same day as before, but now this time the old man says he's off to see the wizard again. And then he looks in his room. The pizza box is already there. Fontaine then goes to see Slick Charlie. Slick Charlie is in disbelief. Slick Charlie tells Fontaine he was shot, calls him the ghost of Christmas past. He was shot 6 times. 6 times. He's supposed to have tubes in him. I, Mighty ironic that he's supposed to have tubes in him, and this Jamie Foxx video says, I didn't want y'all to see me with tubes in me." They playing with y'all, but let's continue. Fontaine, Slick Charlie, and they go find Yo Yo. Yo Yo tells Fontaine he heard he was shot. They go looking for Isaac's car, but finds the black Suburban instead. They went to the trap house. They break into the trap house. They find a break room and an elevator. They wind up in an underground lab. Fontaine interrogates the lab worker. He tells Fontaine they're everywhere. So then, as Fontaine goes to inspect the lab, as Slick Charlie holds the lab worker at gunpoint, he accidentally shoots and kills him. Fontaine discovers his original dead body. They then leave. Fontaine then questions what he's seen. He says he's him. Fontaine wants to go back, but Yo Yo stops him. The next day, Fontaine, Big Moss, and the crew go back to the same trap house, but it's now a regular house. There's no elevator, there's no lab, no nothing. Fontaine then leaves his crew and tells Yo-Yo there was nothing there. Who directed this movie? I forget. Is it important at this point? Not really, no. It was a nobody, as far as I know. They come up with a how-to mystery like Nancy Drew. They try to break down the mystery. You know how in Scream, everybody has the scary movie theory of how to operate in a scary movie? Same theory here applies. It's like, okay, we're the Nancy Drew book. This is how Nancy Drew would do it. Okay? Slick Charlie discovers the hot box chicken is tainted by the same powder he tasted at the lab. So they're in the chicken spot and they're eating the chicken and everyone's just laughing and giggling, blah, 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 blah. Then Jamie Foxx is like, or Slick Charlie's like, he's just looking around. He's like, it's the chicken. It's the chicken. Another stereotypical trope. Let's go. Yo-Yo then tries to seduce the manager for the secret ingredient. She discovers a recording of the powder effects on the tape recorder. And all the test subjects are black people. There's a line for the chicken place around the door. Wherever the chicken is served, which I initially thought is where they're watching, right? But then it's not the chicken. It's the powdery substance they put into it. They put it into the chicken. They put it into the hair relaxer. Anything that black people purchase, they put the powdery substance into the product. Okay? Because at first you think it's just the chicken. It's not the chicken. So then Slick Charlie Yo-Yo trade theories about 9/11, conspiracy theories, the Berenstain Bears, and then they follow a van full of the product. Fontaine had lost his younger brother to police brutality. As he, talking to Yo-Yo, she inquires about who the picture of the boy was. This is why Fontaine takes a liking to Junebug, because Junebug reminds him of his dead brother Ronnie. They stop at a hair salon. Slick Charlie steals an ID from the van. The powder is also in the relaxer. There's a black teacher complaining about lack of funds. Isaac then catches up to Fontaine at the beauty salon and calls him Lazarus. Yo-Yo and Fontaine then lose sight of the van. Fontaine then asks the old man, what does straighter is greater mean? Because once again, this is day number 3 in front of the old man. The old man says, hey, straighter is greater. So then later on, during this exchange, Yo-Yo says, yeah, straighter is greater. And he's like, what does that mean? So he goes back to the old man and says, hey, old man, what is straighter is greater? What does that mean? He tells him to go to Mount Zion Church. They find the van at the church. And then they rescue Slick Charlie. So they go to the church. The pastor's played by David Alan Grier. He puts on a wonderful performance as the pastor. Like David Alan Grier as a church man, probably the best. Of course, we go back to when he played the pastor in Martin. I got a feeling everything is gonna be all right. The Holy Ghost that told me. Y'all remember that episode? He said, shh, the Holy Ghost then told me everything's gonna be all right. I got a feeling. David Alan Grier, they can do no wrong as a preacher, man. All right, so after the service, they use the stolen key card to unlock a door behind the pew, and then underneath the pew is an elevator. Okay? Got a feeling. So then they steal some hazmat suits, and they literally go into the underground lab. It's a deep underground military base, basically. Whatever you thought it was, it pretty much looks like this. Okay. So then they go, there's a control room. One room, they're doing wiretaps. There's a research and development team. So the research and development, there's different stages of MK Ultra being performed on black people. In one room, somebody's being subjected to visual images like in the Clockwork Orange, where the eyes are just kept open and they're just fed constant imagery. And then another experiment, they use bass heavy rap music to make the subjects fight each other. They then changed the song to I Need a Hug, and then those same black men begin to hug each other. All in your face. They playing with y'all with this movie. Another room, a black person's undergoing electroshock therapy. Okay. So then Fontaine, Slick, Charlie, Yo-Yo go to the cloning lab. Specific people have been cloned, including the preacher. Slick Charlie sees his clone. Now, of all the shots in this entire movie, this shot when Jamie Foxx sees his clone, it lingers. It lingers. Not like when Fontaine sees his clone. No. When Jamie Foxx Slick Charlie sees his clone, it's a long, lingering pan shot. His reaction. He looks at the body. Back to his reaction. Back to the body. Then there's this long pan shot. And it's extended for a reason. Take it for what I'm saying for whatever it's worth. Okay, let's continue. Fontaine then finds multiple clones of himself. Fontaine then shoots the clone multiple times saying, "You ain't me." They wind up in the strip club because the alarm went off and they're running for their lives. They wind up in the elevator and they wind up in the strip club. And then the DJ is told, "Hey, we got 3 bogeys on their way to you. Go ahead and stop them." The DJ then changes the song to make the people dance in circles in a trance. The DJ calls it mind control music. My God, I did not need to watch this. And then sends the patrons after the trio. The car is then surrounded. A Fontaine clone named Chester pulls up in the vehicle, opens the door. Nixon, played by Kiefer Sutherland, gets out, and he's a fixer, a cleaner per se. Okay, so Nixon says the black neighborhoods are the control settings. They use them to keep the place undisturbed, to keep their experiments going. He tells them just to look the other way. Fontaine attempts to shoot Nixon, but Nixon says Olympia Black and paralyzes Fontaine. And then he instructs him to disarm the Yo-Yo. He then tells Fontaine to put the gun to Yo-Yo's head. He then tells Fontaine to put the gun to his head. And then he lets him go. He says, Slick Charlie and Chester are expensive. Yo-Yo is cheap. Meaning she's not worth the expense to clone. But Slick Charlie and Fontaine are very expensive clones. The next day, Yo-Yo goes to Fontaine. Fontaine says he's done. There's nothing good in the community. He accepts his lot in life and says he's not real. Yo-Yo says she's scared, but they have to do something. He tells her to leave. Days and days go by. Wait, while I listen to Taylor Swift? Oh no. Days and days go by, the same routine. The old drunk tells Fontaine, "You lose always." He asks the old man how you do it. The old man then raises his cup of alcohol to him. "This is how I do it. I stay drunk." Fontaine then breaks a bottle out of frustration. He finally goes to his mother's room. He knocks on the door. He says, "Hey, mama, you need anything? You hungry?" "No, baby, I went to the fish fry. I'm okay." He says, "Mama, can you open the door? Please, mama, I just need you to open the door." "Oh, no, baby, I'm just watching my stories. I'm watching my stories." So after the third or fourth time of begging his mother to open the door, he finally kicks the door in. It's an empty room with a table and a speaker box on top. And it just plays these messages. So this whole time, that's been his mama. So he kicks the table over, smashes the speaker box, rips out the wires. Okay? And he has a mental break. Junebug then visits Fontaine. He says, "You remind me of somebody I know," which is his dead brother. Fontaine then goes to see Slick Charlie. Yo-Yo tries to mail off evidence of the cloning and all the shenanigans in the town. She's then kidnapped by a black suburban. Slick, Charlie, and Fontaine go looking for Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo has been captured. Nixon has intercepted her information. Slick, Charlie, and Fontaine go to Isaac for help. Isaac, this is the same guy that shot Fontaine. Isaac shoots Fontaine again. And then his body is picked up by the black suburban. And his clone is then activated as his consciousness is being transferred. Another Groundhog Day effect. The old man says he has that new car smell. Slick Charlie and then Wanda, another hooker that saw Yo-Yo get kidnapped. Kidnap. Okay. They kidnap Fontaine in an attempt to get him to remember. Fontaine then makes himself. They have a plan. So Fontaine makes himself get killed to wake up in the lab. So there's this elaborate ploy between Isaac, Fontaine, and Slick Charlie. Slick Charlie says, look, they watching us. They watch everything we do. Here's the plan. And so in these segue shots, the hookers are the go-betweens between Isaac and Fontaine. Fontaine wants $30,000 to kill Isaac again, but he doesn't kill Isaac. He actually shoots him in the shoulder. And then Fontaine plays dead. He gets picked up. This is how he wakes up in the lab, and he only has a shoulder injury. He only has a bullet wound in the shoulder. So it's a huge bait and switch. Okay? So then Slick Charlie gets the hood together. So the hood comes through. They all ride. They ride in with Slick Charlie. There's an elevator in the liquor store. That's when you see in the trailers. Could you please show us the elevator so we can be at your presence? That scene. That's when Jamie and the hood go to the elevator to go raid the underground base. Yo-Yo is captured. She gets a relaxer put into her hair and passes out, but it doesn't work because Yo-Yo was wearing a wig the whole time, so she faked it. All right. They then trash the base. Fontaine faces off against his clone Chester. Slick, Charlie, and Yo-Yo release the clones. They face off against Nixon. Fontaine then meets the older version of himself, the real Fontaine. He's the lead geneticist. He says music, hair products, chicken, and clones help maintain the charade. They all have to be the same. The cloning initiative is what it's called. He says we discovered 378 unique characteristics for assimilation. He tells us the real story of Ronnie's death. Ronnie was shot by a cop and then left to die. It took him 15 minutes to bleed out. Fontaine, the young Fontaine, the clone Fontaine, then tells Chester, the other clone Fontaine, Olympia Black, and then instructs Chester to shoot the old man Fontaine, killing him. On the news, then there's naked clones everywhere, and they release the information about the cloning lab. So then Slick, Charlie, Yo-Yo, and Fontaine decide to go to Memphis to continue the work, to find the other labs, to destroy those labs and expose the conspiracy moving forward. So then we go to LA. The LA version of Fontaine, the Crip version. The Crip version of Fontaine wakes up. And then he goes to the door and say, Mama, you need anything? No, I'm okay, baby, I'm okay. And so then he goes out into the liquor store, gives something. He sees the old man. He pours the old man, another old man, a shot of alcohol. And then they're back at the crib. And then the story from Eldon or Delon, I forget the name of the city. So that story is all over the airwaves. You have all these black people, these black naked clones that don't know where they came from or how they got there. And people are like, what do we do with these naked people? They just showed up out of nowhere. So people are, Red Cross is there. People giving them blankets, food, shelter, all this good stuff, right? They're asking them questions. Do you remember? How are you here? Why are you here? Do you know what happened? They don't know nothing, okay? So then they see a clone version of Fontaine on the news. Fontaine's homeboy says, hey, ain't that you? End scene. So then the song plays. I think they cloned Tyrone. So Erica Badu remixed her own song, Tyrone. And instead of "you better call Tyrone," she says, "I think they cloned Tyrone." Somebody owes me money for this. Somebody owes me money. This is why I normally don't take requests to do movie breakdowns, because half of y'all are so easily fooled. Half the time it's not worth my time. Yeah, Glen, yeah, town of Glen. Okay, Glen. Okay? Somebody owes me some money for this. So who's gonna pay up?